I'm Rich Mahlerwein, Director of Operations at SideView LLC. I got a non-Splunk background in a lot of infrastructure that isn't networking, like Active Directory, DHCP, DNS, SQL, all kinds of things like that, monitoring, and I got into Splunk a handful of years ago. I'm a 4-time now Splunk Trust member, and I'm also the Docs Feedback Champion from a couple of years ago. And this is my daughter, Evey.
You started?
Yes, go. We're all going.
I'm Evey Mahlerwein. I'm a 7th grade student at Three Lakes Elementary School. My hobbies are water skiing and downhill skiing, making crafts, and sewing. And I don't like cleaning my room.
We forgot to change the
slide. When I was first certified, I was the youngest Splunk user, so.
All right, well let's, disclaimers. There's a couple of main pieces that we're going to talk about today, 2 of which are characters and character matching, and the other are quantifiers. So character matching, in the trivial case, is nothing more than letters match other letters. So a D or a W or an S just match those literal characters in your string, a D or a W or an S. When you couple them with a meta character, though, they become character types. So you can start matching, the \D matches digits. W is for word characters, and we'll go over more of these in the next slide. You don't have to memorize them because you can just Google for Regex cheat sheet, and there'll be plenty of options to find. But we're just trying to give you that little bit of an overview right now. So after you use some of these, the next piece is a quantifier, which tells it how many times the previous thing should match something. So you can have different things like 0 or more, 1 or more, or maybe 3 to 5 times, whatever it is that you actually need for your data. So, as I said, so there's more than 2 parts. Probably they're not going to fit into our 30-minute talk, though, so we'll have to just go with the 2. But maybe if you're lucky, we'll finish in time to do a little more. So next, Evey will explain some of the actual matching.
Right. So to match a digit, you'd use digits from 0 through 9, and that would be \D. \W is word characters A through Z. While \S is any white space, like spaces or tabs. If you do a capital, like D, W, or S with a \, it'll be anything except that. So a dot is any single character, not more, unless you add a star, which is 0 if you're not sure it's there and there might be more than 1, or a plus if you know it's there and there's more than 1 of it. See the squiggly brackets on the side? Whatever the number inside of it is, that's how many times it is. \W would be the same if you added squiggly brackets 4, and that would be 4 word characters. The square brackets here would match any single, not more than 1, of the inside characters. While if you have a caret inside of the square brackets, it would be anything but not what's inside of it. So the caret outside of the square brackets would mean the beginning of the string, while the $sign is the end. Oh, I hate that.
All right. So how does Splunk use regular expressions? Now, there's some ways in the back end, as I said with props.com. We're not going to go into that here, but it's really similar, just a little different context around it. The actual regex part itself is more or less the same thing, other than some escaping differences. But so the command itself, we're going to talk about the inline way to use them, which is what I always use when I'm starting out. I've got some data, I've got some fields, they've got a pile of junk in them, and I need to split them out into individual pieces so I can use them as fields. And what we start with is there's an optional piece after the rex command of what the field name is. So if you have, for instance, a username field that comes in and it's got Mahlerwein, Rich, and you want to parse that out into first name, last name. Well, hopefully your data already gave you that, but if it didn't, you can do that and you can specify that don't look in all of raw, just look inside that one field. If you don't include that, it just looks through the entire event. So that's followed by something inside quotes. You may or may not have some leading or trailing text, and those are anchoring it into place. So in that case, if it was like username equals Mahlerwein, comma, Rich, and for some reason Splunk didn't parse that out to begin with and make a key value pair, you could include the username equals up here, and that's really important for performance reasons, and also sometimes just to make it so that the person coming after you can read your regular expression, because that gives them a hint as to what you're doing with it. But then in order to read them yourself, the next part is around the parentheses. The parentheses just group things together. And what we've grouped in here is an extraction that creates a field name, in this case, name of created field, with a regular expression that you can use to match the text that you want to have pulled out into that field name. And then after it, of course, there's also anchoring text. Sometimes that's a $sign to say, and it ends at
This is the character, but it's
it does.
make results is making results.
Great, great.
So-
This sets up our example. Change our other tab.
Yeah. So this is the top string that we're using.
They can't see you pointing here.
Evail my test is naming, this is the test string, as my test.
You can see right there. Yep.
Now we added all of this to make it a little more like it'll work. So Rex is the command, while field my test is what we're analyzing over here. The \s is a space again, and another \s, and then is. So it's going to match is. Yeah. All right, so we have the two dots again, and that matches is. That just proves it.
What would happen if you made that 4 dots?
We have that later.
What?
Don't we have that later?
We might.
Yeah, right here. Ha ha ha. All right, so we have 4 dots here, and we have to have spaces on the sides. These dots can be any character, not just word characters or digits. They can be spaces too. So it's gonna be is us with the space there, because that counts as one word character and one any character. So there you go, is a. Shouldn't have run all these. All right, and then we have the \w, 2 squiggly bracket thingy. So again, it's gonna match is because there's 2 word characters with spaces on the sides.
Now, if we use a 4 in there, what does that change it to?
Oh wait, don't we have that? Yeah, we do. All right, but the space right here is not, so it's not going to catch that. It's going to catch test, which has 4 word characters in a row. And I'm going to say it's any character, 0 or more of it. And 1, 2, 3 is already there, so it's not going to look before it. It's going to look after it, because again, it's just like reading a book. It's going to not skip backwards, it's going to skip forward.
The next page, and then we'll examples again.
Okay, so he just shortened this up, so ignore that. So we have the same thing again, but we don't want the dot. So what he did was everything but. One moment.
Oh.
So what he did was everything but a period. So he did 0 or more of it. That way it would catch everything but and more. Alright, now boring one. So what he's doing is run ID is showing the start of the string, and it's not going to catch that because it's not in these like half circular bracket thingies.
Parentheses, remember?
Yeah, sure. Alright, so run ID is the new field that we're going to be categorizing under. And we're going to catch everything but colons. So it's not going to catch this or the colon. So it's going to catch A87973 and 0 more of it. There you go. And then we're ignoring the colons right now, adding those to the pile of trash right by run ID. And run GUID is our new field next to run ID. And we're going to catch everything but this dash right here. So it's going to catch all of these really long string of letters. And 0 more of it. And then we're leaving 97C6C to fend for itself.
Okay, so examples. Let's go back to the example pages. La, 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 la.
What he said.
There we go. Our next stop. That was music for your enjoyment while we were switching.
Alright, so now we're doing the whole thing that I had before everything else. So it's catching Main Street dot. Not just Main Street, because dot still equals any characters. And it's also matching 1, 2, 3 because that was in this one. Alright, so now we don't want to catch the dot. So we have the square brackets with the caret, which would equal everything but the dot. And 0 more of it. So Main Street, there's no dot there. Just ignore that. And then we have the really long one. So run ID dash we're ignoring. So we'll ignore that. Well, A87973 is what we're catching right here because it's everything but the colons. And it's putting it in run ID as a field. Run GUID is another field, while the dash here is being ignored and everything but it and more than 0, 0 more. So it's going to catch all of this right here because we don't want to catch the dash. And then we're relieving the rest to fend for itself. That's a different one.
All right, back to our presentation real quick.
That's start it up again.
All right. Well, lucky you guys, we actually have a little bit more time left, so we can keep going for a bit.
How we do?
One of the other useful things to use is regular expressions are underpinning a lot of pieces. They were actually designed back in, I think, the 1950s. They came into common usage with the rise of the Unixes through the 60s and 70s. And then the Linuxes have picked them up, and now it's in all kinds of products. Notepad++, there's a lot of text editors you can download and run that actually can do regular expressions, searching and replacing. But one of the handier things to do is use, and it's actually a different command, says stream editor of the Unix systems, which is developed again kind of in difficulties for a second. find data inside there, and then you can actually replace them with a domain. We use it inside Splunk to obfuscate things like credit card numbers, and I'll show you a trick that you can actually do to use it to help you group things sometimes if we end up having enough time. So, much like before with the regular rex command, it still starts with rex, mode equals sed to do this. So inside here, again, look through your quotes so you can tell where your string is. But we have an S for substitute. Now in real sed, there's actually a couple of other commands there. I don't think I've ever used them, but I've known there's at least a G you can use at this end. I don't know what it's for. Doesn't matter because I haven't never used it in Splunk, and I'm not sure it's supported in Splunk. Anyway, so the next character after that is a divider. It turns out it doesn't really matter what character that is you use. Whatever character is just has to match these. Traditionally you use a /, but sometimes you have a lot of // in here somewhere, and rather than having to backslash the / to mean you're actually having a // you could just use another character here of any type of type, or a letter like an H. It doesn't really matter. So you follow that with a string to match, which could be a regular expression or it could be a physical regular string, and then the replacement, what to replace it with. And we'll get into back references in just a bit, which they'll kind of make a lot of sense once you see how to use these and we hit it. There's also a spot back here for options at the very tail end. I'm only aware of one real option that gets used with any regularity, and that is the G for global. If you don't include that, sed mode rex will go through the string, find the thing to match, and if it finds it, it will replace it, and it's done with that. It'll go on to the next event. With the G, it doesn't stop there. It goes through the string to match. If it finds it, it replaces it, and then it picks up and continues down the rest of the string. So it'll just keep replacing all of the occurrences of it in one string. So it's very handy to know what that G stands for that. And off to some examples. Were you doing these?
Yeah.
Excellent. So what's our problem with our first one, huh?
I know it's boring when I'm not doing it. All right, so we're doing a new one.
Yeah.
My card number is a lot of numbers. Okay, I don't like that card number. All right, so